Welcome back, you absolute degenerates. This is another episode of the Very Online Show, the show in which two extremely online people, that is me and Lucy, explain to one increasingly online but still very offline person, Jeff Bakalar, what the hell is going on the internet. How's everyone doing, Jeff?
Lovely. I am equally on and offline at the same time. So
Quantum,
I have a
baby.
good balance.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Lucy, how you doing? How online, offline are you?
Too online. I'm very tired.
Yeah.
I think the general line when people ask me how I am is, and this is a John Robbins line, can't take credit for it, but it's like broadly fine in spite of factors. In spite of factors.
Yes, I've heard that before. That's my mantra too.
My standard one is every moment is agony.
Every moment I live is agony.
Not really leaving room for misinterpretation there.
No, yeah, that's how it is. But I am here still. And this week, we've got a banger of an episode. It's the series finale, everyone.
Is it?
Is
it not? I just figured by the title of this one.
Well, you didn't read my opening paragraph.
Oh, maybe you
Are we
should
done?
say that.
No.
We're done. No,
We're not done.
Okay.
No, okay, hang on.
worries.
I'm gonna steer the ship out of this
This iceberg I have directed us towards.
this
Good
canal.
job, Captain.
So it's my week this week, and like the episode title I've written as is how to log off completely. So
You can see why I would be confused.
Why Tam would
Completely
go that way.
understandable. Yeah,
But
yeah.
I was like, it's not the end of the show, but I feel like it's something that I've wanted to talk about. But also, like, I feel people in the comments have also kind of pointed out that Lucy and Tam spend a lot of time on the internet, and you can tell that they increasingly hate it. It's like
It's true.
Oh,
it's
hey,
true.
I love it. I love being on the internet.
I don't know. I have complex feelings about it. But I was like, I think, I don't want to make this a topical episode, but I think the past few weeks and events have really demonstrated, and I'm not to make this about me, but it's demonstrated how my relationship with the internet can be extremely unhealthy. And so this week's episode, I wanted to actually focus more a bit about doom scrolling and why we do it. And so we've talked about like screen time before. I can't remember which episode, but I had everyone like check out screen time. So I have noticed in particular like a big increase in my doom scrolling, and it's not even to do with...
Jess, if you're reading this, can you please play the Doom theme tune over there whenever Lucy says doom scrolling?
God damn it.
That would be great.
God damn it, giving edit notes in the middle of my links and my questions. But no, I honestly have noticed my doom scrolling, and it's not even that I am purposefully going to the news websites and looking up all the latest and what's happening in Ukraine. I've noticed my time increase on everything, and I wondered if the same could be said for the two of you. But Jeff, I'll go to you first. Do you partake in the scroll of doom?
I feel like if there was some sort of like governing body, judging my answer to this question, I would have to say like I have done it for sure. I think I'm most guilty of it on Twitter a little bit by just maybe getting a little too caught up in the bullshit. But I've done a lot to mitigate that because I have noticed that like it directly affects me. I think the hardest part is realizing it's affecting you because you just sort of, I think a lot of people just sort of accept it and don't realize they're getting swept up in it. So I've muted certain words on Twitter, which I definitely think everyone should play around with some of those settings. But yes, short answer, yes, I'm guilty of it primarily on Twitter and just, mostly around political shit.
Tam?
I think I've said my policy. My policy is to treat Twitter like a room that I enter into, fart in, and then leave. So I don't do a lot of doom scrolling. I get in, dump my shit, and then get out as quickly as possible. Unless there's something going on that I specifically want to look at. And I don't know, like if there's a major world event or some sort of drama in our industry, then I will like engage with it and just see what's going on for a limited period of time. But I'll never open Twitter or any other social network with the express intention of just getting in the mud with all this kind of garbage. I think I've got to a much better place where I can like in and out, if you know what I mean.
I do.
Yeah. But yeah, I have been guilty of doom scrolling in the past for sure.
So yeah, I have kind of the opposite problem where I can doom scroll I'm that person who will open an app, scroll in it, close the app, and then immediately reopen it again. Because I just, my brain is mush.
Because you forgot or your brain is just broken?
Column A, little from column B, you know?
Got it.
But I also kind of wanted to delve a little bit into why, into compulsive internet use and like why it is difficult for us to switch off our phones. And the reason I'm using phones is because, the internet is right there. It's in our pocket. And it's so easy just to access it. And it's kind of, I don't know. I think the comparison I want to make is like in March 2021, some estimates have kind of said that like 65% of the world's population is online, which doesn't sound like, I don't know, I would have put it closer maybe to 70%, but that's still a huge significant number.
It's a lot. I mean, that's like over 4 billion people.
Billions. Yeah. But if you think back to 1994,
no, I'm incapable of doing that.
I've tried.
Just casually, like if you think back to 1994, no.
But no, I mean like 0.4% of the population was online. Actually, let's do like turn of the century.
That was almost 30 years ago, to be fair.
All right, then. Okay, well, 5.8% was December 2000.
Yeah, we have rapidly increased.
28.7%. September 2010. So that was 12 years ago.
But this perfectly exemplifies our current dilemma. Like, I believe the internet is too easy. And again, I realize that is very elitist in a lot of ways to say, and sort of like
fucking gatekeeping Jeff over here.
Gatekeeping the internet, are you? Wow.
I'm gatekeeping the whole goddamn internet, okay? But they made the internet too easy. And when I say that, we just let it run amok and we lost control of it. I don't think we really never had control of it. It was just that there were way less people on it. And a part of me thinks or buys into the theory that like the people who were on there first
are the worst.
Well, I think within that population of people, there's a certain savviness that comes up along with that. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're a good person, but once it got too easy, we look. All of our problems, a lot of our problems can be directly associated with the internet.
Yeah.
So I'll let you fill in the blanks there.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought that? Like, you know what? They should bring back trials. Bring back AOL trials, where it's like, hey, you can have the internet for like a day.
Mate, I had when I went back to my mum's, I looked through like all my old junk and I found an AOL trial disc for Lord of the Rings. When the movies came out, and they had like bonus features, but also hooked you up with the internet for a little bit. It was very cool. Which is weird because now, according to Pew Research, 93% of Americans say that they are online. 93% use the internet. And I think it's so weird that like we're the last generation really who will know a life before the internet, really. Like I don't want to delve into this too much because it's like, the generational divide, but it's like, oh, I remember, you'd meet friends and you didn't have your mobile phone because you were too young to have one. And like, you'd meet people and if they were running late, you just had no idea. Like that kind of shit. But anyway.
Yeah.
Do you remember getting the internet for the first time? And what that was
absolutely.
like?
I remember I remember it super specifically.
Oh yeah?
It was like 93 or so. I was just 10.
Wow, an early adopter.
Yeah. I mean, I should not have been on the internet at 10. Like, it was such a foreign language to my parents. I remember it was basically you had to. So there was AOL had been around for a while, but I guess sort of found out like, oh, AOL, you don't need AOL. You can just like see whatever's on AOL if you just get an ISP. And I was advised through friends to like get like a couple older friends to like sign up with an ISP, and that's what I did.
I love to think of you as a 10-year-old with like friends just meeting for coffee and going, oh yeah, well of course you just need an ISP, like a bunch of 10-year-olds.
I was not using that verbiage. I was like it was like, oh, you gotta sign up for the internet here. And I remember walking into like a store and leaving with like a floppy disk that I guess just sort of ran like the TCP/IP settings executable or whatever it was that like configured your modem to call the right number. You just pop it in, you double click a thing, and you were like connected to their shit.
I like to imagine Jeff has a friend that just went, well, Jeffrey, have you considered simply getting an ISP? And Jeff was like,
I have.
well, Tarquin, thank you for your...
Thank you.
Tell me more about this.
I just want to say that, Tam, while you said that, my stomach lent out an unbelievable growl that I'm pretty sure got picked up on the mic. So, Jess, if it did, please send me a clip of that.
Please, like, raise the volume on it so that everyone can hear it.
Focus on that.
The amount of stomach grumbles, farts, and like weird noises that Lucy's blamed on her new cat is unbelievable over the last few weeks.
So
she's like, "Oh, Peanut's done a big shit," and I'm like, "Yeah,
no coincidence.
Peanut's done a big shit here."
No coincidence at all.
When I got the internet for the first time, thinking back on it, it sounds like such a fucking scam. It was an internet service provider called Clara.net, which is, a fun name. For £5 a month, you would get 12 hours of dial-up internet. And
wow.
12 hours across an entire fucking month.
That's fucked.
And you had to do the same thing, whereas like your mum couldn't use the phone.
Or anyone for that matter.
I mean, well, I only lived with my mum, so that's my frame of reference. Unless the phone call came from within the house and it's not me and my mum.
Mine was NTL. Remember NTL?
Yeah, NTL.
Had NTL. They were eventually purchased by Virgin, and the first website I went, it was on broadband. I never had dial-up. Like we were not allowed internet. Like a dial-up existed for a long time. So did broadband for a long time, but like my family was just like anti getting that shit. And it reached a point where I was like, I need it for education. Yeah. And that's when it stopped. And the first website I went to was GameSpot.com.
Wow.
The first website.
Yep.
Remember your first website?
Yeah, it was GameSpot.com. I was my personal internet at home. Like obviously, like I read the website like when I had access on like school and stuff. But like when I was
amazing.
Like, the first website I'm going to when I have my own internet access, GameSpot.com.
Very cool.
That was very cool. I think I went on like the BBC because I was a little
Tory.
I wasn't a Tory. Labour loyal. Anyway, but no, it's because the CBBC website had really good games. But also, I used the internet for MSN and MySpace and Bebo and all that shit. So
bring back nudging.
God,
annoy the shit out of everyone.
Anyway, so access to the internet is literally in the palm of your hand, and it I don't know why I did that voice.
I love that voice, by the way.
And it accounts for over 50% of global internet traffic. I'm just in a silly, goofy mood. Our daily use of the internet, right? So in 2011, and I'm sorry, Jess, there isn't really good B-roll for this. I don't know. Head to Shutterstock and get some like people using the internet like B-roll.
No, I want dramatic zooms onto like a calendar, like just the 2011, but like with like some super intense like Hans Zimmer style music every time a year is mentioned, like or even like fucking instead.
So like in 2011. The average daily use of people on the internet, like I think this is just Americans. This is from where did I pull this from? Statistica.com. Was 75 minutes, right? And
A
that
day?
per day. That was like the average use. I guess I assume that's not taking into account if you needed it for work or whatever.
Okay.
75 minutes is actually less time than I have allocated for like social media and shit posting and checking TikTok and Reddit and stuff on my phone per day.
Oh,
So,
wow.
but now it's like 192 minutes in 2021.
That's still lower than I thought.
I mean, that's 3 hours.
It's 3 hours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I guess as well, it kind of varies. Like most people do use the internet, but I think that's the daily use of the internet that's reported. And I guess that will be average brought down. Yeah, average daily time spent per capita with the internet worldwide. So yeah, the average will be brought down by like older folks who don't necessarily use the internet. Although
Sure.
I have discovered how my mum how my mum uses the internet.
How?
Oh, it's fucking wild. She's like a YouTube commenter, and I made
She's a
her
poster.
I
She's
made
a
her
poster.
I made her change her username because I was like, I don't want this. You fucking
no.
don't use your real name on the internet, you in YouTube comments, you idiot. It's like cyclical. It's cyclical. Don't use your real name on the internet. Anyway, who wants to play a depressing game?
Dark Souls?
Sure. I mean, we're here. We
Okay.
signed up.
So I think where did I get this from? This is from the University of Virginia. Is that what it's called? Yeah, University of Virginia did like a study into smartphones and like how often we check it. I am bad for checking my phone compulsively. There are these games that you can play where everyone goes out for dinner and you all put your phone in the middle and whoever checks it has to get the bill.
Love it.
So they were doing they were asking people if you've ever used your phone in a social gathering. So I posed that question to the two of you. Have you ever used your phone in a social gathering? Like just checked it?
I'm hyper
Yeah.
aware of it.
Yeah.
I'm hyper aware of it. And I actually go out of my way to avoid it. And I was just away for the weekend with some of my friends. And we're all very close. We could speak very openly to each other. And I genuinely chewed out a buddy of mine who, not in the, it was in a like
A loving way.
compassionate way. Right. Of course.
You nibbled
like,
out.
But I was just like, we'll call him Zach. I said, like, I was like, we were.
As we all know,
no,
on this series, Zachs are bad. So
yes, we do. They have a history of disturbing behavior.
Fucking okay. I mean, except for Zach Ryan.
Yeah, I'm related.
Yeah.
Different Zach.
He's Zach with
And
a CH. He's fine.
we were sitting in. We had rented a house, and it was very like conducive to just sitting in a circle and talking. Right, like a coffee table with a bunch of sitting arrangements surrounding it, and. We're in a pretty semi-serious conversation and we're enjoying each other's company, and he whips out his phone and he's starting to go. And I was like, all right, hey, if someone texted you, just want to make sure what it is. But
Jeff was Zach, stop. You're going to get in trouble.
Zach, what are you doing? And I looked over and he's fucking going through Instagram. Okay. And I honestly was like, I'm sorry, but that is such disrespectful bullshit right now. And he's like, what? He's like, I'm paying attention. I'm like, no.
I'm scrolling here.
Hey. I said, no, dude. We don't have your attention. We made this trip to be with each other in real life. Don't come up here and start jerking off through Instagram. Because that's what you're doing. It's just a form of like navel gazing.
I mean, I was like, is there a part of the story where he got his dick out?
No, it was not. It was a cockless endeavor. But I'm just saying. Okay, I'm just saying that like it was so rude, and it wasn't. It was equal parts the act of him doing it, and equal parts of his failure to recognize how truly shitty he was behaving. And that's what really got me.
Yeah.
And I think that moment made a dent for sure with him. Yeah.
In your friendship or in his
No,
behavior?
our friendship is fine. We're very close, but like I think he'll
remember that.
he'll
Zach will
consider
remember
that
this
next time. Yeah, exactly. A little asterisk. Yeah.
Anyway, yes. So according to this University of Virginia, 95% of people said yes, they'd use their phone in a social gathering. Have you used your phone while working? Yes.
Of course.
Yeah. 7 out of 10 people said yes. Have you ever checked your phone during an amorous encounter, a romantic entanglement.
What does that mean? We're gonna have to break that down.
Shagging.
Here.
Mid fucking? I mean, I
no
feel like
way. How do you do that?
1 in
Here's-
10 people said
That is
yes.
disrespectful.
it is, but when you both get a call, right? So like
At the same
I've had-
time?
no, not at the same time, one after the other. So obviously someone's trying to get in touch
Oh,
with the
okay.
both of
One
them.
of you. Yeah.
But I mean,
That's-
I wouldn't know. My phone hasn't been on loud since
yeah,
fucking
like
2008.
2008. Yeah, exactly.
But you hear it vibrating on the nightstand.
It's not on
that could
vibrate
be any
either.
number of things vibrating.
It wasn't. It was a phone. I mean, that has a different sound. They all have unique sounds. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just only in that one very hyper specific.
It's very hyper specific. Yeah, but like I mean, like people checking fucking Instagram.
No.
That is
Psychos.
like that
Psychos.
is if that happens during a romantic entanglement, that is either end of relationship or like couples therapy.
Yeah,
that
like
is-
what the fuck
that-
is it? Like you are so brain dead at that point where you don't even realize what you're doing. Like
Yeah.
you have lost the thread.
That is like Pavlovian conditioning taken to its like absolute extreme.
Yeah.
Totally.
Well, so if we want to talk, actually that segues me pretty nicely. I don't want to get too into the weeds on internet addiction. For context here, if you're watching, listening, I studied psychology. At university, and
Great. Diagnose me.
No, because psychology, for all the good it does, it still has a lot of issues. Like in terms of who pays for stuff, like it's very much a follow the money kind of thing when you think about research papers.
Key bono. Who benefits?
Yeah, the DSM, which is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, it's basically like the giant list of psychological disorders. It's, I don't know, like they had homosexuality in there, and homosexuality was classed as a psychological disorder until the 70s, and like
That's
and so you can put a certain amount of stock into it. There's obviously researchers out there who are doing things in good faith, and when it comes to internet addiction, it's a huge field that people are actively researching more in. However, just with the sheer nature of human behavior, like you can't one-to-one, like there's so much room for interpretation. Everyone grows up, it's the nature versus nurture. Human experience means that like actually finding concrete results is very difficult, and there's a whole bunch of stuff with regard to ethics, research methods. Have I gone?
Oh no. It's not just me, Tam, right? Tam? Oh no.
I'm kidding. I'm here.
Oh you oh my god. Oh my god. Oh Lucy. Tam
I was
a
watching.
secret ability.
So when my internet dies, I can still see and hear you too. And I was fucking watching him, and then I was like, I froze like this because I knew he was doing it, and I didn't know when I was gonna come back. But he's so good at it.
What is that called? We have to give that a name.
The old
have to
Tam
give that-
fake out,
No, like fake freeze. Like what do you do where you just like?
cardboard
he
cut
would-
out, like.
But like, so there, I didn't believe it right away because it was super. Because he did move a little bit, and I was like, oh fuck. And then you did. Oh man. Okay, I don't know what you're gonna do with that, Jess, but
That feels like the ending sting.
yeah, that feels good. Okay, sorry.
no.
Yes, it's an evolving. It is
It's evolving. It's difficult to measure accurately. There are also, there are biases in research.
Sure.
And so it's very difficult. And so I don't want to delve into that too much. That's just my thoughts and feelings after actually researching psychology. But like, there are people obviously doing things in good faith. There's a fucking lot, right? But I did want to mention that in the latest edition of the DSM, the number 5, they did put internet addiction in, not as a diagnosis thing. They put it in the appendix. So it's something that is like this burgeoning field. And there have been studies that have found and take everything with the knowledge of it's difficult to extrapolate and everything, blah, 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 blah. General research method notes, but people, they've
that's how psychology goes.
Imagine doing that during a TED talk. Like that's great.
But they have found that there are these potential links between internet addiction, and you can have a bunch of issues. So, for example, like the sheer overwhelming amount of information means you can have a loss of analytical thinking because you technically don't really need to piece the dots
Think
together
about
yourself.
things,
Decreased sustained attention. And negative effects on memory, and it is because of like this pure, just like our brains, I suppose, have not evolved. Like, think about the amount of information, like sensory information we get,
100%.
and then if you think about the pure amount of information that the internet throws at us.
I mean, look, like you put it at the top, look at our lives being the last generation of people alive, presumably, that will have straddled the digital divide, right?
Yeah.
So
I think the one of the biggest ones is like memory, and like, because I definitely, one of the things that I feel is like my ability to retain information has been heavily damaged by the internet, like, and also my job and other things. But I struggle to remember things these days, and I think a lot of it is because the amount of information that we're just shoving through like our brains constantly, like there's no catch anymore. There's like nothing to trap information. We've just crammed so much in there. The tube is smooth now. Like it goes in and just goes straight through out to the other end, and that's it. There's nothing, none of the ridges in our brain that were there to keep information around and keep it, there for a little bit so you can retain it and like even commit it to memory long term. Just not there anymore. And that's like a massive danger that I'm like super aware of.
Yeah, it's like I personally have started like, when it comes to work, we have a kind of very vigorous like review process at work, and it was like, what have you done in the last year? And I was like, shit, I don't know. So in this 2022, I've started keeping a journal of literally stuff I do at work, and that I want to do that in my personal life too. And I've started doing that is because it's like, oh shit, I forgot that I saw this movie with these people, or I forgot that I did this thing with, and so it's like detrimental effects. And like, that's just on the that's on your mind. But also, there are also effects on your actual body. So issues like carpal tunnel from sitting at your desk and using a mouse and keyboard and like being stuck like this, carpal tunnel for scrolling on your phone all day, to tech neck, which, I mean, what a lovely name. But it's like, back and posture issues because people are hunched over the whole time.
I had a friend who was a rapper that had that. His name was Immortal Technic. That is a joke for like hardcore rap fans. And if you are out there, please at me on Twitter at TomorH and let me know that you appreciate that or not, because
just make fun of them.
Yeah, just make fun.
I mean, either way, I liked it. And I'm not a hardcore rap fan. But anyway, so despite all of this, and I think on some level everyone is aware of it, we spend so much fucking time on the internet. And the last couple of years, obviously, we were limited in terms of like social interaction, obviously, and it gave rise to the phenomenon of doom scrolling. So the earliest reference came to the term doom scrolling came from a 2018 tweet from Calamities with 2 L's in October 2018. And I believe the tweet was: taking a break from doom scrolling and being inundated with things and stuff. I'll be back Tuesday or something. Here's a thing I'm making. So like that's the earliest that was found. But it was kind of really popularized, obviously, by as things do, like Twitter, in part popularized by a journalist named Karen Ho. They tweet like regular reminders for people to stop doom scrolling and just fucking log off. There's actually a really good bot on Twitter now called like Doom Scrolling Bot that does this. Just like, hey, what if you did this instead? Or, hey, what if you logged off? In the early days of the pandemic, as we didn't have anything else to do, the term got more and more popular. Oxford English Dictionary added it that year, and it was named the 2020 Word of the Year.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So, why is doom scrolling bad for us? Well, it can trap us in this cycle of negativity and actually fuels our anxiety. Fun. This one is from NPR. Tam, can you read this quote from Dr. Amelia Aldeo?
Our minds are wired to look out for threats. The more time we spend scrolling, the more we find those dangers. The more we get sucked into them, the more anxious we get. The grim content can then throw a dark filter on how you see the world. Now you look around yourself and everything feels gloomy. Everything makes you anxious. So you go back to look for more information.
It feels like, and it's just like you're constantly, and I would imagine people who are like really swept up in this, it's like you're constantly searching for the thing that's going to negate the negativity that you are underwater with, right?
Yes.
Like you're constantly like, oh, I read like 40,000 pieces of bad shit. Now I'm just looking for that one little bright spot. Like I feel like it's this constant validational check that you are doing.
That's very
Right?
good, Jeff, and we'll talk about that in a second.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
But yeah, so like this is obviously how I ended up looking into it for this week's episode. They're already doing studies on doom scrolling, and naturally they found increased anxiety and depression levels in those who consume a lot of COVID-19 related media. And those who spend a lot more time on their smartphones. However, I will say, like, the way that depression and anxiety is measured, and I say this as someone who's recently graduated from my course of CBT, is like they give you for the last like 3 months I have done the same exact questionnaire, and it's like I know the questions, like I know the answers. I kind of feel like I know how to game the system in that way. And so that's like one of my issues with psychological research, especially when it comes to measuring things. Like there is no perfect way of doing it. It's human emotion, but like
easily compromised. Yeah.
Right. And so, like I said, take with a pinch of salt, but at least anecdotally from my experience, yes, I would agree with those kind of early findings. So there's this really great BBC article about like, why does endlessly looking for bad news feel so strangely gratifying? Hi, Everlane. Yes, I am in the middle of redoing my wardrobe. Thank you for following me across the internet. And so there's a psychology professor called Dean McKay who gave a quote in this article, and he said he specializes in compulsive behaviors and anxiety disorders, and he likens it to, in the past, people would watch like the 11 o'clock news, which would kind of be like the one where the heavier stories would come in, but they'd watch it from the comfort of their own homes, and it's this detachment and potentially calming because you're not directly involved there, but you still get the information. And so doom scrolling could be like kind of equivalent, where you are looking for that information, but you still have the detachment of being away. However, the 11 o'clock news would run from 11 and have a dedicated stopping time. Doom scrolling does not have that. You are responsible for that. And so if you get sucked in, and it's that cycle, there's nothing really stopping you except for your own self-will.
That is a good analogy. Yeah. It's like it's constantly the 11 o'clock news all the time for some people. Like every minute of the day.
And so there's this other psychological researcher called Pamela Rutledge, and like it's the need for answers, right? It's like if you think back to like years of evolution, it's analyzing the dangers around us and making sure we're safe. And so it's like the compulsive urge to find answers, and then. And it's time for Lucy's favorite topic, algorithms. Things that provoke fear responses are likely gonna provoke emotional responses, I should say, not just fear. Fear is a big part of it. But like provocative headlines and images draw the eye. People are more inclined to click, and then it feeds more into the algorithm of content that you are served, feeds more into your fears. So that could be another reason. There's one more that's like my favorite, which is like a slightly more out there explanation, but it's basically like, it's part of the detachment thing. It's like an evolutionary explanation that we want to practice experiencing emotions and practice coping mechanisms without actually having to be embroiled completely.
That sounds like a lot like making ourselves desensitized to everything.
Yes. I called it emotional recon.
Okay.
But like that's obviously not one that's really being properly bandied about here, but it mentioned that BBC article. I did kind of very much enjoy that. But Jeff, you actually hit on this earlier, is that there is a lot of ties with internet addiction and doom scrolling and gambling behaviors. So the way that gambling works, in terms of like a psychological thing, is that it is variable reinforcement schedule. So with Pavlov, that is like a consistent reinforcement. It's like you hear the bell, you get the food, right? And you know that every single time you hear the bell, you'll get the food. Whereas with gambling behaviors, it is you can gamble, you keep going, and then you hit that big payday, and then you kind of keep going because you're like, eventually I will get that payday again.
Interesting.
And so it's a variable reinforcement schedule. And it's the same with doom scrolling because it's negative, but then you get the occasional good news story. So you actually kind of hit the nail right in the head there, which is why it's so hard to quit. And so just some very quick suggestions if any of this is like speaking to you, is like set limits on your phone. One thing that's used in weight loss a lot is like keeping a journal and like keeping a journal of your food. So keeping potentially a journal of your screen time. Vox has a really good like list of suggestions, like put your phone in the other room kind of thing, like put it physically out of reach. Digital detox if you really want to go all in, and find a replacement. Reconnect with your smartphone gradually, not just
get it out of your bedroom. Like if you can do
get it out of your room.
Get it out of your bedroom. That is like the biggest thing that I can endorse for sure.
And there is this website, Screen Life Balance, where it's literally how to do a digital detox. I'm pretty sure you have to pay for this though, so I don't know. How to break up with your phone, but there are plenty of resources out there. It's important to recognize the kind of behaviors that get, and like recognize them and acknowledge them, and then kind of try and improve them if you do find that you are getting suckered into using your phone too much. And that is the end of my lecture.
Stay off your phones as much as you can. Jeff, will you be staying off your phone?
I mean, I think I do a fairly manageable job at striking a balance. Like I said just now, getting it out of your bedroom will make a massive change in your life if you are able to stick with that. So that is the thing that I will leave you all with for sure.
Log off, everyone. Just simply log off.
Touch grass.
But we will be back.
We will be back in a little while. So log off until we're back and then log on so that you can watch the new episode of the Very Online Show.
This show is actually on a variable reinforcement schedule.
Yes.
Exactly.
Correct. We mix it up so you can never predict when we're coming back.
You'll just have to understand that. And
Please understand.
Yeah, please understand. Jeff, where can people find you?
They shouldn't. Is what we've taken away from this episode.
Do not find Jeff. Lucy,
don't find me anywhere.
Where can people find you?
Don't find me.
Don't worry about it.
And let me tell you can find me at TamorH on Twitter, and you can find me on Twitch at TamorH. You can find me on Instagram as TamorH. You can add me on various social networks. Come say hi. I'll take any of the follows that you would have given to these lot.
The true villain. Okay.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.